Welcome to the AdSense Flippers podcast. Are you sick and tired of gurus who have plenty of ideas but are short on substance? Worried that ebook you bought for $17.95 won't bring you the personal and financial freedom you long for? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others in their pursuit of niche profits without the bullshit. Straight from your hosts, Justin and Joe of AdSense Flippers.
Welcome to episode 15 of the AdSense Flippers podcast. I'm your host, Justin Cook, and I'm here with my business partner extraordinaire, Joe Magnotti. What's going on, man?
What's up, everybody?
We've got an excellent episode lined up for you this week. We're going to be getting into evaluating the first page competition for your niche. So making sure that the competition on the first page is reasonable for you to beat. Before we get into that, let's get into some updates, news, and information. First one we got is our iTunes reviews, man. We're killing it with iTunes reviews, huh?
More and more every week. Unbelievable.
I'm stoked, dude. We got 6 new 5-star iTunes reviews. First one comes in from Jeff Mendelson. Justin and Joe, the real deal. Just finished listening to Monetizing Free. What a show. Guy goes on to say some great things. I'm really excited about that. We got Rick Payton giving us 5 stars. We've got a comedian, a full-time comedian who loves to be able to listen to these guys. Not only informative, but entertaining.
Ah, well, look at that.
Awesome, man. Well, comedian I am not, but I love the fact that comedian appreciates us.
Glad to hear we're just not droning on and on.
Anyway, so love the iTunes reviews. That's awesome. Next thing bit of business we wanted to cover was we have a new schedule. So I ended up getting a bit sick at the end of last week, and we weren't able to put AdSense Flippers podcast episode out. So we're going to be switching. We want to do this anyway. We're going to be switching to probably a Tuesday release. So expect Tuesday releases from us now on the podcast, and you can get that on iTunes also.
Yeah, the other thing is we visited Pearl Farm this week, which is a 5-star resort here in Davao. Beautiful place, right, Justin?
Yeah, we were there last Wednesday night, Wednesday through Thursday, and we went there to hang out with a potential site buyer. So the guy came down from Manila, where he lives, wanted to come down, kind of check us out, get a feel for us, kind of went over our business operations, gave us some really good ideas for business, which we'll be discussing in a future blog post, but then also walked away and wanted to buy some websites from us. So we're setting up that deal right now. Looks good, and we should have some sites out to him within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I love these big buyer deals, man. Nothing like being able to transfer a whole bunch of sites to one person instead of many sites to many people.
Yeah, speaking of site sales, dude, we had another 15 site sales last week. We put them up on our buyer sites page, and we sold around $5,000 worth of sites in 48 hours. Really cool, man. Really exciting to see that we can just put them up there. People are willing to buy them. They're hot, man. And I feel like I'd like to push more out so that people can buy these sites and then expand them. I mean, we don't expand the site, so we're giving opportunity to someone else to really kind of dig in, see what else they can earn out of it, and get more out of the sites that we create.
Yeah, upside. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we bring to the table. The reason why people are willing to spend a larger multiple than they do with other sites is because we provide that upside.
So, man, you almost broke AdSenseFlippers.com.
Yeah. Well, we had to move to a private server. We were trying to schedule this last month, but we finally got it done. So let me know if anyone sees any links that are broken, anything that's broken on the new site, but you should see a significant speed increase, probably as much as 50% speed increase over our old platform. The UI is a lot better. Back end, things are a lot faster for WordPress. We're going to be doing some upgrades to the buyer sites page, including some auto updates when sites get sold, so we don't have to do that duplicate thing anymore. And then being able to sell packages, which I know we would really like to be able to offer directly. So,
yes, similar to our Flip sales, where we're able to sell like packages of sites and be able to offer those. I'd love to be able to do that with our buyer sites page too.
Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for the buyer sites page, please let us know in the comments.
So anyway, that's fantastic. I don't know the exact speed differences, but we'll put that in the show notes. You can take a look at the VPS and see how much faster AdSenseFlippers.com is because of that.
Yeah, so we've been really busy this week, though, huh, Justin? I mean, we had customers coming to town. We had that visit to Pearl Farm. We had friends coming into town from the DC. All kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, we had an awesome week. It sucks I had sick during it, man. It didn't really help with all the people here, but I was glad I was able to attend our dinner on Thursday. And we had a really great group of guys here in Davao City. I think the entrepreneurial scene is really growing, and we've got some people kind of blowing through town that are really adding value to all of us, really.
Yeah, and we've added a local Filipino shop owner as well, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's a sharp cookie, man. I'm glad he's on board, so. Anyway, let's get right into the heart of this week's episode, which is all about evaluating the first page.
The AdSense Flippers podcast.
So with the AdSense Flippers keyword research process, we really have two phases that it goes through. The first phase is done by our outsourced agents, and that's finding the objective information, the exact match search phrases, the CPC, making sure that the domain's available, an exact match domain is available. These are all the steps that our outsourced agents perform. So they find all these exact match domains available and put them in a spreadsheet for us. Every week right now, we're buying about 40 domains or so, which means we need a 5-to-1 ratio. We need about 200 that meet our criteria. Then the next step is the first page evaluation. Joe and I will go through those 200 and find out which ones we think we have a chance for ranking on the first page. And what Joe and I will do, we'll take a subjective approach. We'll look at the first page evaluation and try to decide which ones we think we can get ranked, and then we'll assign a number or a rating to that. 5 being the highest, we think we have an easy chance to rank on the first page, and 1 being the lowest. There's no way our process will get that site ranked for that keyword and on the first page. So that's basically our process, and that's what we're looking for. Today we're going to cover the second portion, what Joe and I do to evaluate the first page of Google for that particular keyword.
Yeah, and it's so critical, Justin, that you get that right. It's going to throw the whole rest of the process off. So that's why we tried to objectify a subjective process. And it's tough to do, but I think if you take all the factors into account and assign it a ranking, it'll be a little clearer in your mind about how to convey that once you have all the keywords in front of you.
Yeah, we had a friend that had a bunch of domains available, 40 to 50 domains available, and he says, hey, I've already got these domains, I might as well just build the content out around them, right? Well, the problem was his domains aren't keyword targeted, so it would have been random content. Now, he would have ranked and got some traffic and clicks for some of the long tail stuff that he would have found. The problem is, though, is that it's not highly targeted to one specific keyword. So even if he's doing well, he won't know how well or how to improve for that particular keyword because it was kind of a random domain. So we say it's better to start over if you screw up on your domain purchase and target something that's right, rather than continuing to spend money and build content on a keyword that's a bad idea. So basically, up until this point, right, we've had our agents find all these exact match phrases, find the domains available, and we've got our 200 for the week. This podcast will be all about how we analyze those 200 and break them down to the 40 where we're going to purchase the domain and actually build out those sites.
Yeah, and like Justin was saying, we haven't outsourced this portion. I don't know, one day, might we outsource this portion? Yes, but we'll have to find a really good keyword evaluator, researcher, an SEO expert that really gets first page evaluation before we outsource that.
It's difficult, man, because if this part gets screwed up, right, a little change, they do something a little differently than us, and we won't know for 2, 3, 4 months, and then all of a sudden we find out that we're not ranking, we're not getting the traffic we thought we were, and we take a big hit because we put a lot of spend in over that 3 or 4 months, right? That's why it's so critical. That's why we still do it today.
Yeah, and I don't think it can't be outsourced. You just need to find the right people to do it because it's not an A, B, C, D kind of process. It definitely takes critical thinking, outside the box thinking, and it's subjective.
So when we're looking to rank these keywords or these URLs, we're primarily looking at the first page only. So I'll do a quick search on Google, look at the top 10 results, and try to get a feel from there. And that works about 80% of the time. Another 20% of the time, if I need a little bit more information, I'll go to the second page and I'll dig through the second page and look for some of the key indicators we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, I even take that a step further and say, on the first page, I love to look at the top 3 and the bottom 3. If the top 3 is very difficult to beat, then the bottom 3 better be very easy to beat. And we'll talk about how I evaluate that later on.
Yeah, John, the intern here. What sort of traffic can you expect from like a bottom 3 ranking on the first page, right? Because it can look, pretty attractive and pretty lucrative to be on the first page of Google search results, but, obviously it dwindles towards the bottom.
It's not known for sure, but there are some great analysis done on this where, some people are saying that in bottom 3, you're looking at somewhere between 5 to 10%. It's the estimate we go for. The first position, you can look at around 40% of the traffic, second position around 25%, and third position around 15%. So now those are estimates, guidelines only, but they give you a pretty good idea. And it's interesting to note that being in the number 10 position and moving to the number 1 position, you could get 8 times the traffic for that one specific keyword. That's a big jump because that could mean 8 times the earnings as well.
Yeah, I would also say, though, it's a risk versus reward kind of scenario. If you have something that has a very high SEO value, then you might be able to rank for it in the bottom 3 and say, wow, that's worth it. Whereas if it has a very low SEO value, you better be able to rank in the top 3 because you're going to need that traffic in order to make enough money for it to be worth it.
Absolutely, Joe. So let's get right into it. We've got 12 points here. We've got 6 positive signs and 6 negative signs you should be aware of when evaluating the first page to determine whether or not you want to go after a particular keyword. So the first positive sign we want to talk about, and I think it's a really big one, is an exact match domain on the first page. This can be a great indicator. Now, it's not any exact match domain, but it's one that's similar to the types of sites we build. So let's say that it has less than 30 links, it's less than 1 year old, it's an AdSense or like Amazon affiliate type site, and it's ranked on the first page. That's a great indicator or a great comparison for the site you're going to build, because if they're already on the first page, it's been 2 or 3 months, and it's a similar type site, you can expect the same results.
Yeah, I especially like looking at the site age for this particular evaluation. So, if you see it was just created in the last 12 months, last 6 months, and it only has like 10 links, then you know that this is a new site. They're going after the same sort of process that we would use, and that it's probably pretty easy to rank at or above that level using our process.
Now that's good and bad, of course, right? Because if you see someone already targeting that keyword, you know that there are other people going after it, that type of thing. But if they were ranked that easily, you know you have a pretty good shot at being ranked in the top 10 as well. It's definitely something we like to go after, and the higher ranked that site is, the better chance you probably have.
Now, this next tip I really love, but you can't go crazy with it because you don't want to be checking every link on the first page, or first page evaluation will take you way too long. But if you do come across sites that are broken or linked to parked pages, that kind of thing, that's a good indication that next time Google updates the cache, those sites are probably going to lose their ranking, and therefore you might be able to replace or supplant those areas on the first page.
Or if they're not going to lose their ranking, they're a parked site, right? Ultimately, Google wants better content. So if that's the content that they're finding because there's so little about that particular keyword or subject, it should be pretty easy to usurp that particular site or keyword for that target. Third point we want to make for positive signs would be article directories on the first page. Now you'll see sometimes in eZine articles on the first page, you'll see Buzzle, these types of things, and they're kind of crappy articles that aren't, maybe they're targeting that keyword or maybe they're not. The benefit here is that article directories are huge. So eZine articles is targeting a ton of different subjects. It's not finely tuned around that particular keyword. Your site will be. So if this particular article is not finely tuned around the keyword and your site is going to be, you're probably going to be able to outrank them. So finding them on the first page is a plus. I love that. It gets me kind of excited. I think we have a pretty good shot there.
Yeah, especially when they're very general type of article directories. I would say when you get into more specific type of article directories, for instance, if you were going after do-it-yourself type keyword, and you got to a do-it-yourself type of directory, that might be structured better and might be a little harder to beat. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, good point, Joe. That's true. You'll see that, especially around the type of keywords that we go for around a particular niche in a general industry or whatever, that it's an industry-specific article directory, and those might be tough. It's worth checking out. And if you get familiar with an industry, you'll start to see the ones that are good and the ones that are bad there.
Yeah, now that said, if the article directory doesn't use the keyword in the URL or in the title, it's probably going to be a little easier to beat. And then if it's a subdomain of some sort, like you'll see these entries sometimes that are not even at the exact domain, they use a subdirectory of some sort, those are usually easier to beat.
Well, HubPage has switched over to an author subdirectory, and sometimes you'll see that as well. So that's generally a good sign that you can beat that keyword, especially if they're on the first page. Even if they're like top of the second page, it's a good sign for you. I'd also say a really good sign is any large shopping sites that have dynamic links, right? So an Amazon or something that is not a category page, not where it's the higher level domain page talking about a particular category or industry or product, but one with a dynamic link that's XZY593, yeah.
Right, again, not in the URL, not in the title, and it's some large shopping site, Amazon, eBay, BizRate, any of those price comparison sites. Those are really easy to beat. using our process.
Yeah, so again, none of these are necessarily a 5 or necessarily going to drop you down to a 1, but if you see a couple of these signs in there, it's going to be helpful, beneficial, and you know it's probably a keyword you should be targeting.
Now, we've talked a little bit about like how we evaluate these positive signs, looking for links, looking at the description and the keyword, looking at page rank. Well, we don't do all that manually. If we did that manually, it would take us forever. So we use tools to do that, and SEO Moz provides an open site explorer, but Longtail Pro combines SEO Moz and some other factors that allows you to see the first page evaluation very easily. So once we get it down to some competing keywords that we know are the top keywords, we use Longtail Pro to do an evaluation from there.
Yeah, whenever we can just like kind of eyeball it and get an idea that it's, a 2 or a 1, right? We're tossing those keywords, we're not looking at them again. That's an easy determination. What's hard is the 3s and 4s, right? The 5s we're for sure going to pick up. We know we can get them ranked, not an issue there. But the ones that are like 3.5, 4.1s, that are really close, those are the ones that we'll use tools like Longtail Pro to dig a little deeper and see if it's a site we want to go for, especially if it has high potential value. On AdSense Flippers, we have a keyword research tool calculator, basically, you can use to determine what the potential value of a site is. And if it has high potential value, it's something we want to look a little closer at.
Yeah, and the biggest reason why that's important is because if you make a lot of mistakes on the valuations between 3s and 4s using our process, that means you're going to get a lower average return on your sites, and then long term, when you're scaling this process, your numbers are not going to be right.
Yeah, so the 4 columns we really look at in Longtail Pro would be description or keyword area, the page rank of the particular site, and the SEO Moz links to that page particularly. So getting into the negative side of things, some things that we see on the first page that we don't like, you're going to see that a few of these match up to the positives, and that's because we use the same signals to determine whether or not it's positive or negative, and we'll get into that. But yeah, the first one I would mention is when you see, Google Places, or formerly known as Google Maps, on the first page, this is generally a negative sign. And you'll see this when you put some kind of geo modifier in a search. So if you look for window replacement Arizona or window replacement St. Louis, let's say, there's a fair chance that you're going to get a Google Places result. What that means is you only have maybe 1 or 2 organic searches at the very top, and then you're going to have maybe 8 to 10 Google Places below that, and then the organics again below that. So there's not a very good chance that your organic site's going to get ranked. It's going to be eaten up by the Google Places listings.
Yeah, and there's a whole other process for optimizing for Google Places. Justin and I used to work at a company that did that. So you can't really mix the two, in my opinion, and that's not what we go after. We go after organic search results, and that's what our process is optimized to do.
Now, if you can get in one of those, top 1 or top 2 spots above Google Places, there's a huge ton of value there, but it's a real gamble trying to get there, right, and trying to beat out Google Places. So we generally avoid it for niche sites. If you run a plumbing company in that particular city or whatever, and you want to get ranked for plumbing contractors Las Vegas, definitely worth picking up that domain, but not as worth it from an investment niche site creation perspective.
Yeah, and then also usually keywords that have a key geo modifier don't have enough search volume in order to create a niche site around it. So the other thing that's a negative sign is niche shopping sites. So we said shopping sites before are a good thing, right? Well, yeah, the big ones like Amazon, BizRate, eBay, those ones, yes, easy to beat, especially when they're dynamic links. But when you see niche shopping sites, something like if you were doing keyword research on a particular type of shoes and you see Zappos come up, especially it has multiple results on the first page and it's optimized in the URL and the title, it's going to be very hard to beat that.
Yeah, or let's say I'm shopping for, blue ski boots, and I see skiboots.com/blue, right? And this is a site, a really good e-commerce site that sells, ski boots. Not really a good sign for me, right? That's not something I'm going to be able to beat with my niche info site. Not going to happen. Another thing that's kind of a bad sign is a root level domain. So I'm not talking about exact match domains. I'm talking about maybe a partial match or maybe a non-match domain at all, but that is a root domain in a fairly high level site. So that means that they are probably targeting that keyword and they're being seen on their root domain. That means they own that. They're all over it.
Yeah, I love this one. I think a great keyword for it is green tea or Japanese green tea. If you do that, like the top 10 results are all root keywords, meaning that there's no URLs, no subdirectories, no subdomains, nothing like that. And they don't use the keyword in their domain name. They have it in the title or something like that, but these are old sites that actually have been there for a long time ranking for this keyword. It's a really easy way to determine that, hey, a basic niche site is never going to rank easily for this keyword. Another negative sign is the corporation thing, right? So if you're searching for a particular brand or model of some type of commodity, object, whatever, something you can build or service online, and the corporation that does that or makes that item comes up in the first 3 results, it's probably going to be harder to outrank that particular company website.
You'll see this sometimes where the site shows up and then they have like subdirectories of the pages that are underneath that, and it pushes down all the other natural organic results. That makes it a bit more difficult. You'll also see it where, the first result is the particular company, maybe their root domain, and then some extended domains for the second, third, even fourth result. That's not the worst sign in the world, but it means that you're not going to be taking the first couple of spots. So you can lower your expectations for that particular keyword because you're not taking over the top 2, top 3, top 4. At best, you'll be top 4, top 5, right?
Yeah, and especially when that first result has a bunch of subdirectories popping up underneath it from that particular site, it pushes down the rest of the results, and that means that if you rank in place number 8 on the first page, it's less likely you'll be seen and clicked on.
Yeah, we talked about number 1 getting, potential of like 40% of the clicks from exact match searches. If they own the top 3 results, they're going to get a lot higher than that. So they're going to basically own the traffic that is for that keyword. We talked about as a positive sign an exact match domain that's a similar site to what you build. Well, it's also potentially a negative for you as well. So if you find an exact match that is well optimized, that has a ton of links, that is a much older site, that has fantastic content, that's not a good sign for you. So if you see that type of page, exact match domain, and it's, let's say, ranked number 8, and it has 380 really good solid links, the content is stellar, it's been around for 2 or 3 years, right? And it's only number 8, that's not good, man.
Yeah, and then especially if that exact match domain, they've switched away from monetizing via AdSense or affiliate links, and it seems like they're drop shipping or maybe even making the product themselves, and they're an exact match domain, that's usually a bad sign.
That's cool, but they're ahead of you, right? So if we create that type of niche site that's based on like AdSense earnings, remember our starts are kind of starter sites, right? A lot of our sites could ultimately be built out to affiliate sales, drop shipping, or even an actual product site, but it means we're 3 or 4 levels behind that guy, right? That guy's already taken it, that is owned, and if they're not ranking to number 1 or number 2 for it, right, then that's a pretty bad sign. That means it's a pretty aggressive niche to be going after, and we don't want to put our entry-level site in, to that mix.
Our last negative tip deals with category pages in large shopping sites. As we said before, sometimes large shopping sites can be a positive thing, but if they're well organized, especially looking at the URL, if the subdirectory has the keyword in it and it has it in the title and it's really about that particular subject, then that large shopping site entry was going to be tough to beat.
I've made this mistake before too, where I saw Amazon and just kind of quickly went, oh, that's Amazon, we'll smoke them. And then come to find out, I look at it later, I'm like, wow, we're terrible with that one. I thought it was going to be a real winner. And I go back and look at the first page, and that was the one that told me to buy it. And I go back and look, and I go, oh, that's a category page. They're all over that. No way.
Yeah, especially when you see a category page that's well optimized in the last 3 results. I mean, if they're only ranking 8, 9, and 10, and they're well organized, then your little EMD site is probably not going to be able to beat them.
So those are 12 tips for you. We've got 6 positives, 6 negatives. Remember, none of this is a guaranteed and it's very subjective, but this should give you kind of a good idea on what we're looking for when we're looking to pick up our domains every week and we're looking to target the keywords that we target. So that's it for the heart of this week's episode. Let's get right into our ninja marketing tips, tricks, and our plans for the future.
The AdSense Flippers podcast continues.
So our first ninja marketing tip for you is the use of spyfu.com. Now what spyfu.com allows you to do is it gives you a much more detailed answer as to how many advertisers there are for a particular keyword, what the real CPC is, how many clicks you can expect, that type of thing. And it doesn't just do it now, it does it historically.
That's what I love. I love the history that you're able to get on advertisers, because sometimes you may have a keyword that sounds a little odd and the CPC right now might be good, but historically it's been nothing, and therefore you can say probably in the future it might go back down to being nothing.
So check this out, buddy. I just looked up ski boots, right? Right now it's saying there are 21 advertisers. The cost per click is 48 cents to 60 cents per. You can expect around 212 to 295 clicks per day. And the major advertisers are skis.com, sierratradingpost.com, mountaingear.com, this kind of thing.
Yeah, that gives you a great idea that this is a good keyword, that there are plenty of advertisers. The worst thing to have when you're building an AdSense niche site is no advertisers.
So this is one of the things we might look at if the advertiser competition is a 3 or a 4 out of our 1 to 5 scale. If it's a 1, we probably won't look at that keyword in the first place. But if it's a 3 or 4, meaning that it doesn't have as many advertisers, Google's saying there aren't as many advertisers, we might check it out on spyfu.com. The cool thing there is spyfu.com is free to use. They do have a paid version as well, but the basic functionality, especially if we're looking for advertiser competition, is free.
So another thing we want to talk about is I'm getting my own basketball team, buddy.
The AdSense Flippers basketball team, dude, that owns.
Yeah, Mark Cuban, eat your heart out. I have my own basketball team right here in Davao. We'll be adding some pictures of the team. I was having a little trouble with the logos and the jerseys, so we're working on that. We might not have that until next week, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So when Chris Ducker comes to town, you know, he's a pretty big basketball guy too. We'll hopefully have a little one-on-one and have some jerseys ready for him as well.
So the last point, we've got a new thing going on. It's going to be a charity event, and we've got a boxing event that our own Joseph William Magnani will be involved in with a buddy of ours here, Daniel, here in Davao. It's the Kapow in Davao boxing match. So we're going to have 2 white guys battling it out in an arena of about 4,000 people, and that's going down into May, buddy.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I've been picking up boxing over the last 8-9 months, so I think I'm ready. Not sure about my opponent. We'll see about him. But yeah, it's all for charity. I mean, we'll be wearing headgear, but we will have some professional undercards, so it's kind of exciting, you know?
Here's the funny thing. It started out, you know, over a couple of beers. They were like, yeah, you know, we should do a little boxing in a ring. It'd be kind of fun. Daniel's like, yeah, dude, it sounds great. Let's do it. So we started talking about it. We're like, oh, maybe we can, you know, rent a ring or something. So we find out there's one we can rent here for about the equivalent of $500. Seats around 4,000 people. So true to our free roots, we're going to make attendance free. We're going to have VIP seating that is paid. And the idea is to sell beers, nachos, that type of thing, and then make some money there and give that away to some local charity. So we can turn that money into good use. But we started digging more and more into it. We're like, dude, we can get sponsors for this. So we're looking for sponsors. We're going to see if we can get a discount on the ring from the mayor here in Davao. And we have a friend that's on local TV, so we're gonna get announced on TV. We're talking about getting a billboard out. We're gonna have ring girls, dude. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah.
John's over here laughing at us right now because he knows this thing's kind of blowing up. We had a planning meeting on it the other day. It was crazy.
Yeah, you know, how many times do you get to say I was part of a huge boxing event where I was the main attraction?
Yeah, we have a buddy that, you know, has the tux and everything, does a lot of ringside announcements. So we're going to see if we can get him down here from Manila. We're going to invite a lot of people from Dynamite Circle, and we'll be putting some information out if you guys want to come out and check out Joe get his ass kicked in front of a bunch of Filipinos. That'd be fun stuff.
And it's all for a good cause, so hopefully we raise some good money for charity.
Well, that's it for episode 15 of the AdSense Flippers podcast. Make sure to check us out on Facebook. We got 150 likes there now, buddy. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to add some pictures and stuff. I'll have the basketball team stuff up late next week. And, you know, if you're in the Davao area, we can invite you to the Kapow in Davao. So check that out.
Yeah, dude. And then so check us out, facebook.com/AdSense Flippers. I'll be adding more photos. We'll do some from a Pearl Farm that we went to last week. And we'll see you next week. Remember, the change will be on Tuesdays, so you can expect the podcast episodes out on Tuesdays from now on. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the AdSense Flippers podcast with Justin and Joe. Be sure to hit up AdSenseFlippers.com for more. That's AdSenseFlippers.com. Thanks for listening.